We live in a noisy world. Constant voices coming forward, competing with each other to be heard, just to say nothing at all. Hey, it's good to see you. Let's talk about the real spiritual life, as opposed to the fake spiritual life. St. Alphonsus writes about this priest who was praying to God, asking him to send somebody into my life to show me the real spiritual life. And I think that's an important point, because there's many commentators out there right now, isn't there? Offering thoughts on living out the spiritual life, and I'm one of them. And if I look back at some of the older videos that I have done, I think, I could express my thoughts a little bit better now than I could 5 years ago. And in one sense, I'm glad, because that shows that I've progressed, and I'm grateful. And I hope that maybe 5 years down the road, I can look at this video and think, I could have expressed my thoughts a little bit more clearly to help people, because that means I've grown. But in the meantime, what I think is valuable to share regarding the Catholic spiritual life, that it's just not based upon an idea that I pull out of thin air, but that it's based upon the tradition of the Church, particularly the saints who've contributed to the spiritual life of the Church and wrote about the spiritual life. And so one saint that I have leaned heavily on is St. Alphonsus Liguori. And why I think this is valuable is because he has a proven track record. He's a doctor of the Church. And so what he shares can be trusted. And this goes for the doctors of the Church, and this is why I love them. But St. Alphonsus writes about this priest who wants to learn about the real spiritual life. And he seeks God for many years. And then God answers his prayer, and he hears God speak to him saying, go to a certain church, and there you'll find your answer. So this priest goes to this church, and outside of it is a beggar sitting there. And the priest says to the beggar, "Good day, sir." And the beggar responds, "Well, indeed it is, but I can't recall that I've ever had a bad one." The priest says to the beggar, "Well, God has blessed you then with a very happy life." And the beggar says, "Well, I can't recall that I've ever been unhappy. And I don't say this rashly, for there's good reasons for this." And the beggar continues saying, "This is the reason. When I have nothing to eat, I give thanks to God. When it rains or snows, I bless God's providence. When someone insults me, drives me away, or otherwise mistreats me, I give glory to God. I say I've never had an unhappy day, and it's true, because I am accustomed to will unreservedly what God wills. Whatever happens to me, sweet or bitter, I gladly receive from his hands as what is best for me. Hence, my unvarying happiness." The priest looks then at the beggar and says, "Where did you find God?" And the beggar says, "When I left creatures." The priest asks the beggar, "Who are you?" The beggar responds, "I am a king." "And where," asks the priest, "is your kingdom?" The beggar says, "In my soul, where everything is in good order, where passions obey reason, and reason obeys God." The priest asks the beggar, "Well, how have you attained such a state of perfection?" Listen to this. "By silence. I practice silence towards men, while I cultivate the habit of speaking with God. Conversing with God is the way I found and maintain my peace of soul." This is the real spiritual life, according to St. Alphonsus. Let's think about silence. Silence is something that we are just not accustomed to. We live in a noisy world. Constant voices coming forward, competing with each other to be heard, just to say nothing at all. Something that has really helped me in silence, ironically, is learning about silence. And this is where I've turned to Cardinal Sarah. Cardinal Sarah has written a book that is fantastic. I would highly recommend it to you. It's called The Power of Silence. against the dictatorship of noise. In one section in Cardinal Sarah's book, he talks about Mary and Martha. And you know the story. Jesus is there. Martha's busy serving and anxious about many things. And what is Mary doing? Well, it looks like she's doing nothing. She's just sitting at Jesus' feet while her sister is running her butt off. And many times we look at that and we think, well, Mary has chosen the better part. Part of that is true, but Cardinal Sarah has a little spin on this. He says, we first need to learn to be Mary before becoming Martha. In other words, there's a connection between sitting in silence and the active life. Before we're active in our service, we first must learn to be silent before God. Cardinal Sarah writes, we should always make sure to be Mary before becoming Martha. Otherwise, we run the risk of becoming literally bogged down in activism and agitation, the unpleasant consequences of which emerge in the gospel account. Panic, fear of working without help, an inattentive interior attitude, annoyance like Martha's towards her sister, the feeling that God is leaving us alone without intervening effectively. Thus, in speaking to Martha, Jesus says, Mary has chosen the good portion. He reminds her of the importance of calming and quieting the soul so as to listen to one's heart. Christ tenderly invites her to stop so as to return to her heart, the place of true welcome and the dwelling place of God's silent tenderness, from which she has been led away by the activity to which she was devoting herself so noisily. All activity must be preceded by an intense life of prayer, contemplation, seeking, and listening to God's will. Beautiful words from Cardinal Sarah reminding us of the importance of silence. So if you want to learn more about silence and the importance of this discipline in life, I highly recommend his book, The Power of Silence. Friends, thanks for watching this video, attempting to comment on the real spiritual life. Share with me below your thoughts. Thanks for watching.